So we have discussed about various facts of for loop, how we can use for loop in different scenario for infinite loop and for other purposes. Now we will continue with this for loop to realize that how we can write write a program using for loop for various problems on series. Series in the sense that maybe last day we have discussed about the series like this. This is a series, right? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 can be a series. So now, uh, let's take a series, something like series of a, say something like I want to find the summation of this equation f equal to 1 factorial plus 2 factorial plus 3 factorial plus 4 factorial plus 5 factorial and so on plus n factorial. So this value of n will be given by the user. So as a programmer, what is given to you? You have to give a series given to you, and you will be asked that write a program to find the value of this summation for some value of n. So first question, as a beginner, what will come the question will come in your mind is that how you will start and what to do. You have various approaches. You have some set of sequential statements. You may need to choose two different paths for uh, different operations. You may require execute one type of statement more than once, right? So these are various ways. So if you have a very straightforward some sequential statement, that's the easiest one. If you need some choice, then either you can go for if else condition or switch case or something like that. If you require some executing more than one statement, I mean a statement executing more than once, then you have to go for loop. So question will come in your mind that what will be the basically logic, that whether I go for loop or go for condition or some combination of them, and in which order of them, right? But I will suggest that don't write or think about program before you solve this particular series with respect to a single equation. What I mean to say is that let's write this equation elaborately, okay? So this 1 factorial means basically 1, right? 1 uh, I mean 1 into 1 you can say, right? What this 2 factorial means, it will be 1 into 2. I'm sorry, not 1 into 1, it should be only 1. That's enough. Only 1. 1 into 2. Then 3 factorial will be what? 1 into 2 into 3. Then 4 factorial will be 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 plus plus N factorial means 1 into 2 into 3 into n. Now, as I told you, that what will be your goal? Your goal will represent this series in a mathematical equation. Always remember one thing, whatever we are actually writing program is basically we are solving some mathematical formulation by some set of instruction. That may be addition, maybe multiplication, maybe combination of them. But some mathematical formulation is there, must be. Because a computer is an electronic device which follows some mathematical formulation, some mathematics. So you have to understand the mathematics first, the equation first. If you are able to crack that equation, realize that equation, it will become very easy to write corresponding code for that, for implementing that equation. That's all. This code is just implementing the equation. But that implementing, I mean, initially as a beginner, you have to realize that equation on pen and paper. Okay. So anyway, so now see a very interesting thing. This series is, in this particular series, what we have, each and every part presented in this series. That means these are the parts. This one, this one, these are what? These are terms of the series, right? Various terms. This is first term, this is second term, third term, fourth term. Sometimes these terms is basically a simple value. For example, if the equation was something like f equal to 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, suppose, plus dot dot plus n, then this is also a term. This 2 is also another term, 3 is also another term. But here the difference with this two series is, this is a term with a single value, but this is not a single value term. This is a term, and each and every term is basically a series again. Because you see, this is a series, right? I can say this is a series. I can say this is another series. I can say this is another series. This is also a series with limit 1. So that means, if we forget about this second line, for at least for time being, I can say, okay, let's write it first. Let's write each and every term first. I mean, let's try to write a simple mathematical formulation that represents each and every series individually within this term. Okay. So what I can say? I can say that, I mean, we'll realize this one later, but the second one, I mean, oh, sorry. The second one, I can say that it's actually multiplication, right? So multiplication means, multiplication is represented by pi sign. You know that, I think, right? Pi sign. One thing you see, that it's 1 into 2, then 1 into 2 into 3. So that means I can say that pi of, say, for example, j, where j starts from 1 up to 2. then when j equal to 1 1 into, then j will become 2 into 2, right? This one is what? Pi for. In the same way, how you can say? You can again say here the limit has been extended, right? So that means here also I can say that j equal to 1 to 3 is j. Again here I can say that this another pi having j equal to 1 to 4 with this plus plus a long multiplication from j equal to 1 to n. This n will be provided by the user with j, and this one also I can represent in the same way. Basically what I can say, the initial case, that is j equal to 1 to 1, only one times, that's all, right? So individually these these are the terms that is representing the factorial of that term, you see. Because this is 1 factorial, this is 2 factorial, this is 3 factorial, this is 4 factorial, this is 5 factorial, right? Still the job is not ended. The reason is that I have not yet combined these terms with this plus, because I have still some plus over here. Since I have a plus between these terms, now what I can do? I can represent this plus as a summation. Sorry. As a summation. And this summation will start from 1, right? And will end at n. Why n I am saying? Because if you see the pattern present in this term, it started from 1, second term, first term ended at 1, second term ended at 2, third term ended at 3, fourth term ended at 4, and last term ended at n, nth term. That means I can say that I can consider here that I can start from 1, will go up to n. So when I is 1 means first term, when I is 2 means the second term, that is for 2 factorial. Then when I is 3, that means third term, that is for 3 factorial, and so on. So this, under this, if we want to just place this pi in a simple way, considering a pattern, I can say this is under this summation, we have the pi, where j, you see another point, another pattern, that j always starts from 1 in every cases, right? That means j will be 1, and where it ends, it ends in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or n. That means it ends on I, because now I is representing either 1 for first term, 2 for second term, 3 for third term, and so on, and then j. So basically there are two things, something like this. There are two things. We have a summation and we have a pi. Summation representing for plus, pi for the multiplication. Now if this type of series come as a, you all know that if we want to, if for some value of n, if I ask you that what will be the value of this series presented in this way, how you will do this, calculate this? You will first calculate for I equal to 1 what is the value of pi, then you will add it with the next term for I equal to 2, the next pi result for I equal to 2, again it will be added with the next pi result for I equal to 3, and so on till n. That means among these two different operations, which is primary? Pi is primary. Before, without getting the result from pi, you cannot continue with this summation, right? And second point is that how many variables, or how many how many variable presented in this mathematical equation other than this n. Obviously n is a variable which is given by the user, but other than n there are two variables. This is variable number 1 and this is variable number 2. That means you require two for loops. Always remember, I'm just showing you the strategy to realize that how you can write program this type of uh, for this type of series. Okay, so you will realize that there you must have two for loops. One for loop is for this summation and one for loop for this pi, and the loop variable for this summation for loop is I, and loop variable for the pi for loop is j. Also you can see one thing, that is, since pi is under summation, obviously under summation because that's why summation is at the left of pi, that means this for loop of j will be, that means, this is what you could say, the loop that you require over here is basically what you can say, nested for loop. So before we understand what nested for loop is, let's solve it one by one. For example, this 1 into 2 into 3 into 4, how you can do this? If a simple problem is given to you, that you have to solve a series f equal to 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5, that's all. How you can solve this problem? You see, this is a similar problem we have discussed over here, only here I had plus, and in this place here I had multiplication. That's the difference. So strategically the algorithm is same. So I hope you can easily understand this, that obviously you require a for loop which will multiply these values, then 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 and that is the result, right? So I need a for loop, fine. And here you see this is a term, right? This is the whole series. This is the whole series where this is a term, this is another term, this is another term, this is another term, and this is another term. So you can represent this equation by simply writing pi I equal to 1 to 5 with I. And what is the implementation of this pi? Obviously using a for loop. And this loop variable, this I is presenting the loop variable. So that means definitely your I will start from 1. What is the end? Up to 5. That means if I is lesser than or equal to 5, I will continue. And obviously I will be incremented by 1. Why? The reason is that the difference between two value of the two term you see is 1. 1, then 1, 2, then 1, 3, then 1, 4, then 1, 4, 5. So I is plus plus. This is for sure. Question is that what I should write over here. As we have seen in the previous class that ultimately we have seen two statement and find that this is the statement writing in this two way and writing this one is same. So we have used this approach. And we use sum because the conventionally the name actually represents is adding some summation value, but here we are actually representing a factorial, right? This is a factorial program. So you can say that the variable name can be fact, but is it really fact should be 0? No. Why you cannot? Because ultimately you will write here fact equal to fact into I. Fact equal to I means 1, then it will become 2, then 3, then 4. So one by one these terms will be picked up from the series and will be added with a partial factorial num. Partial factorial is what? Partial factorial is 2 into 1, 2. This is partially factorial. This is another partial factorial. This is another partial factorial. And this is the final result. But these three are partial factorial. Partial factorial means the factorial is not yet completed, but these values are required for calculating the result, right? Because 2 is required to calculate 6, 6 is required to calculate 24, 24 is required to calculate 120, that's all. So now if you write fact equal to 0, your entire job will lost, because 0 multiplied with anything is 0, that means it's not possible. So you must put factorial equal to 1 in this situation. And obviously I will be there. So if we think about writing the, then I, right? Let's erase this one. Okay. So that means when this loop will stop, you see what is the value of fact? Value of fact is initially 1, right? Then y equal to 1, 1 lesser than 5 true, 1 into 1, it's happening. Then I will become 2. So whatever the value will be multiplied with 2. Then whatever the value will be multiplied by 3 in 4 into 5. And when I become 6, it stops and I will get this result 120. So this is the code for the finite factorial. So this is the code basically we have to impose within this series, because here each and every term is a factorial. Now, since here we have represented by j, the content by j, so let's write the factorial program with j again. Okay, let's write it with respect to the variable j. So what you will write, forget about the variable declaration. Okay, I'm not interested for the variable declaration right now. So for j will be equal to what? 1. Just do blindly whatever written, j equal to 1 and go up to I, right? Go up to I. That means j lesser than equal to I, j plus plus, and within this j, what I have to write? Basically, it's multiplication of all the j's. That means basically we have to write this statement within the loop of j. So that means here I will write fact equal to fact into j, and obviously your factorial is equal to 1. Suppose this it's declared in, at the very beginning of the program, so I'm not going for declaration. These were defining this one. Okay, so when this loop breaks, I will get a factorial value from 1 to I, right? But still this I is not defined. Why? The reason is that, you see, if you go for this particular equation, as I told you, that if you have two different series connected with each other by in this way, then whoever is at the right side should be in the inner for loop, and whoever in the left side will be in the outside for loop. I mean outer for loop, and as a whole is called nested for loop. So nested for loop structure looks something like a for loop. Within this for loop there is one more for loop, something like this. This is the structure for nested for loop. So when the nested for loop will come in the role, then question will come that which for loop represents which one. Is this for loop representing sum or pi, or this one sum or pi? Which one? Always remember, whichever in right side represents inner for loop, whichever in outside in the left side represents outer for loop. This is what outer for loop, and this is what we call inner for loop. What is the significance of this? Is that until and unless this inner for loop completes, this outer for loop will not start continuation, not continue. It's not possible, because when the control enters within this for loop, it started the inner for loop. Until this for loop ends, the I plus plus or whatever you have written in the increment or decrement part of this outside for loop will not start continuing, will not execute, right? That means this outer for loop is always dependent on inner for loop. First inner for loop will execute, then the outer. I mean, not all, for a particular value of outer for loop. That means here, for a particular value of I will get a factorial from 1 to I. But what is I? I is representing this variable of the outer for loop, summation, and it's shown that I is actually uh, continuing from 1 to n. So it's now become very easy. You can easily write the outer for loop right now. What you will write? You will write that a for loop for I will start from 1, will go up to n, because that is given in the equation, I up to n, right? And I plus plus. But here job doesn't end. Why? The reason is that if you just assume that this part, the whole part represents part A, sorry, if you assume that this whole part that just we have written over here is considered as part A, that means you can say this equation as summation of I equal to 1 to n A. This is what I've just written. Okay. So summation means various value of I, for various value of I, sum of this A term, sum of the A term, just like what you have seen over here, like this. For various value of I when 1, 2, 3, sum of this term. But here the term is represented by A. And what is the value of A? For that some particular value of I that we have found in this fact variable. So what is left? Left is this adding. That is left. This addition is left. So that means here the job, the only statement that you require is sum equal to sum plus the result you have got from the inner for loop, that is fact. If you don't write this statement, what will happen? Individually these terms will be calculated, but they will not be added. So ultimately you will not get the result of this term. That is the difference. So this is an example of a nested for loop, and you see why we have done this. By the way, one thing is still left, that is you must initialize sum by 0. Obviously, right? Now this is the example of a nested for loop. The example we have discussed because to you have to realize that when we have to use a nested for loop, and if there is a nested for loop, how the dependency will be represented between the inner and outer for loop. To do this, first thing that you have to do, you have to realize how we can represent a series, this series, entire series, using only by this simple mathematical formulation. When you will able to do this, you will able to realize that how many variables required, how many for loop required, whether it is a nested for loop, if it is nested for loop, which one is for inner and which one is for outer, and everything. Right? So this is example of nested for loop. We will work with nested for loop, as they will, as you will grow up, your logic will be complex, the problem will become complex, so you have to use very complex logic, which is basically various combination of various combination of um, vari various combination of the for loops, if else, switch case and many things. So that's why you must be habituated with various situations, and this is a example, a very simple example of using a nested for loop. So in future, maybe in the next class, we will continue with this nested for loop for various scenarios.